I've never felt as alive as when I was in combat. Everything was just sharper, clearer, more vibrant. And then you come back to the States and everything is just different. Not quite the same. People aren't the same because they haven't been tested. You don't know what they would be like when shit hits the fan. And you have to know what people are going to be like when shit hits the fan from a veteran's perspective.
As is the custom, we wanted to go back and revisit a few things and some stuff that came up for Johnny, and wanted to visit a little bit more about your feelings of failing as a father and not being able to provide. That seemed to bring up some emotion, but then you were able to provide because you're a veteran and the college being paid for by the VA. I mean, I think several people commented that that's actually a source of something to be proud of.
Yeah.
When I got a phone call one day from San Quentin Prison while I was volunteering here, and they wanted somebody to come to some meeting that they were having. In my heart, I knew, I didn't know what I was in for, what I was going to experience, what I was going to see, what it would be like. I had no idea. But what I did know is that could have very well been me. That person that I was about to meet that I had no idea could have been me. And by the grace of God, you know, here I am.
How was my life as a youngster? Pain and trauma. That pretty much squares it away there.
I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland. I grew up in the ghetto, really, in Baltimore. It was a hard upbringing, a lot of violence and fighting and stuff as I grew up, and I tried to stay away from that. Stayed in school and played sports. Eventually wound up going and joining the Navy and got married, got divorced, and came to California looking for a new start.
I'm from Jackson, Michigan. I was born and raised on a horse farm. It was awesome. So there was lakes and ponds and streams and fishing, and it just, if I could live my whole life over, that's one thing that I would not change is where I grew up. It was just cool.
I had a fight when I was a youngster, before I was a teenager, and I did so well on that my family helped me become part of the business. Protection, racket, gambling, stuff like that. I made my bones. I was ready. That's what they said. I was in the U.S. Army from 1970 to 73. So I became a good soldier. I was a good soldier for my family, and I was a good soldier for the Army. And I was a drunk and an addict.
I wanted to know what the Veterans Group was like here. So I sent my paperwork to the Veterans representative, who happened to be Ron Self. And interestingly enough, he sent me back a ducat and said, "You are a part of this group." That's how I became familiar with VHV. It was starting out. I was one of the first participants in the group.
I remember before I came to prison, I had very clear thoughts on people that were in prison. And if you were in prison, that's where you belonged. If you were a gang member, that's where you belonged. And then I came to prison and I got to sit and listen to a lot of these people and come to realize, wow. And I was able to learn about their backgrounds and the situations in their family lives that caused them to be in gangs by no fault of their own. And then I started thinking about the people that, as a combat veteran, that I was killing. And I started thinking about their backstories.
While in basic training, they teach you, one of the things they teach you is that that failure is catastrophic. All right? Failure will take 3 people out of the fight. If you fail your buddy, and he gets killed, you not only are taking your buddy out of the fight, but you're taking the 2 people out of the fight that have to carry him. So if you don't handle a jam correctly, if you don't handle, if you're not looking at your perimeter, looking at your peripheral, if you're not making good decisions, you could cause catastrophic failure. So failure is a no-go.
Tremendous amount of effort is placed on teaching someone to survive combat and to be a veteran. What I want to see is the same effort placed in a program or boot camp out. So boot camp in, boot camp out. Boot camp for most services is 3 months. There needs to be a boot camp out that needs to be at least 3 months. So when you're done with the military, you go through a boot camp to learn how to become a civilian again, how to process what you experienced in combat in a way that transitions to you being productive in society.
And so when they're getting out of the military, there's no training to tell them, okay, you're a civilian now, and failure is okay. Because there are enough things in, there are enough safety nets in civilian life to help you if you need help.
The men that really lead it are prisoners, and they are men that are kind of real natural leaders. They're just they've been willing to grow. Right, they've been willing to really explore themselves and their own soul, if you will, right? And that's that, and that shows up, you know.
So I think, militarily speaking, a moral injury often comes as a result of betraying your own belief system in doing something, killing another human being, a woman and a child. But there's multiple facets to that, because not only are you at times betraying your own belief system, you're given orders by your command to do these things. So it's a failure by command having you do these things that are in and of itself wrong by nature, but let alone your own moral belief system.
So a big part of our mission is really building bridges of understanding across the prison walls, between civilian and military populations. I think the more we understand each other as human beings, the more we're able to care.
You were asked to, in the name of freedom, to harm people that's not directly a part of what's going on. But because they are aware of you and your safety is in jeopardy, you have to neutralize the threat. And it's hard. Yeah.
Well, if you've been there and done it, it's a little easier to help somebody that's going through it. And that's really important.
A lot of drugs and alcohol are the result of combat, which is, so the combat leads to drugs and alcohol, which leads to an other than honorable discharge or dishonorable discharge. Well, that is an example of a moral injury and a failure by leadership. They put you in combat, they don't do anything for the emotions that you have from combat, so they give you way too many drugs, inappropriate drugs, and things happen.
When someone comes home and they've lost a limb, it's very obvious to us what's occurred there. But the other traumas are inside the person, and they're held inside their body, and they manifest in all types of ways. And the moral injury seems to be, in some regards, the most dangerous, at least to the individual that's suffering from them. So I would just say that understanding that trauma is not just about events, it's about the meaning of those events. And the conflict that people have over what they've been ordered to do.
The program allowed me to look back on my life and actually take time to analyze different episodes or incidences that I had overlooked in the past and quantify the effect on the man I am today. And it's been a godsend to me, because it's really allowed me to actually know myself finally.
The thing that makes it effective is this. is that it allows men that have been shut down for a long time to open up. And in the process of watching that happen, I'm opening up myself. I'm telling you this straight up. I'm discovering some things about myself as this process goes through that I just had been ignoring since I was extremely young, you know, and it's a healing. Like I said, it's a healing process.
An awakening, a lifting of the spirit. It's like you're finally able to let that weight off your back, you know, that problem that you've been wrestling with, or that shame that has kept you not being who you are because you don't want anyone to know what made you be ashamed of what you did or didn't do.
Veterans healing veterans, I think, is an incredible idea that works because veterans are used to having a battle buddy. They identify themselves as veterans, they identify themselves as what branch of military they were in, and they take a lot of pride in their ranks and in their military service. That's a common thread, and off of that comes the ability to feel like I can trust you.
These people care about each other, and it's just been a remarkable thing for me to witness again and again and again and again. And I think we know it when we in the world abroad, the world outside the prison, because we see all these veterans organizations and veterans really stepping up to help. You know, you see it. But I think maybe something that people don't realize is that impulse to take care of each other exists equally among veterans inside the prison walls.
Yeah, my son came home in 2010 with a very serious case of post-traumatic stress. He'd been in about 6.5 years on his second term, and he did some. What exactly he did, I don't totally know, but he was involved in special ops types of things. He was devastated. I start to want to cry just thinking about it, where he was when he came home.
That these things that people go through, these traumatic experiences, as disfiguring as they can be to one's character, to one's life, certainly, relationships, all of that. If you can come through them, they give you a whole other depth to your humanity, and they put you in a position of understanding other people's pain and that empathy, and that's what I just see in such abundance in our groups.
I'm thankful. I'm thankful for this group. I mean, I found a band of brothers, true brothers, and it doesn't matter the ethnicity. We throw that out the window. There's none of that here. I found a group of guys who I can relate to on a level that goes beyond skin, goes beyond social groups. It's hard. I found a family. I'm in a band of brothers.
And it crosses all ethnic lines. All that disappears. And people get to be the real human beings that they are, and I love that.
Yes, I believe that life means something. There is value to it.
I would like to continue on with the Veterans Healing Veterans Group and go out and help veterans, because there are a lot of veterans that have, that are coming back from theater now that want to commit suicide or just don't know how to survive. And that's basically what we're doing here in Veterans Healing Veterans, is we're learning how to share and get this off our chest. Society looks at us as criminals, and yes, we are. We're criminals, or we've committed crimes. But to put a label on us and say, well, you're criminals, that's something that I'm trying to not do, because that hurts when you tell a person, well, you're a criminal. No, I'm not that. I can be a better person. If I go spend my life thinking that I'm a criminal, then I'm probably going to be a criminal. If I think that I'm a better person, then I'm going to be a better person. It's positive reinforcement instead of negative reinforcement. And I think that's what we need, is positive instead of negative.